Good morning, sir.
মর্নিং মর্নিং
স্যার গুড মর্নিং।
হ্যাঁ মর্নিং শুনতে পাচ্ছ?
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
গুড মর্নিং স্যার।
স্যার
Good
আজকে
morning.
আজকে আমাদের ল্যাটারাল এন্ট্রির বেশ কয়েকজন স্টুডেন্ট এসেছে।
ও আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, কজন কজন অ্যাডমিশন হয়েছে?
স্যার আপাতত আমার সাথে কন্ট্যাক্ট করেছে 8-9 জনের মতো, কিন্তু 19-20 জনের মতো লিস্ট বেরিয়েছিল দেখেছিলাম।
ও আচ্ছা 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 আচ্ছা, তো তোমাদের এই ফার্স্ট ইয়ার থেকে অ্যাডমিশন কি হয়ে গেছে জানো কিছু?
ফার্স্ট ইয়ারের অ্যাডমিশন বলতে স্যার ভেরিফিকেশন চলছে, মানে
ও
ফার্স্ট লিস্ট না সেকেন্ড লিস্ট এখন চলছে, মানে এখন
লিস্ট আপ
চলছে।
হয়ে গেছে, এক্সামিনেশন হয়ে লিস্ট আপ মনে হয় হয়ে
হ্যাঁ
গেছে না?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ লিস্ট আপ হয়ে গেছে, এখন ভেরিফিকেশনের জন্য যারা যাচ্ছে তাদের ভর্তি হচ্ছে।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে। আজকে রবিবার, কি করবার, দুটো ক্লাস মিস হয়েছে। ওকে, তাহলে আমরা স্টার্ট করি। ল্যাটারাল কজন এসছে? ল্যাটারাল কজন এসছে?
স্যার 8 জনের মতো।
তুমি একটু ওই এন্ট্রিটা করে না, তুমি ট্র্যাক রাখো, ঠিক আছে? মানে ওই মানে রেকর্ডে রাখো, ঠিক আছে?
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
এবং পরে যদি আবার আবার জয়েন করে আবার তুমি এন্ট্রি করো।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, আমি ওয়েট
করে
করছিলাম ওই ম্যামের, এইচওডি ম্যামের কাছ থেকে টোটাল লিস্টটা পেলে একবারে ভাবছিলাম এন্ট্রি করব, কিন্তু এদেরটা তো আমি করে রাখবো আলাদা করে।
হ্যাঁ, আজকে তো ধরো এরা আজকে থেকে ক্লাস করছে, এদের
হ্যাঁ স্যার, এদেরটা আমি মার্ক করে রাখবো, পরে সবারটা এলে অ্যাড করে দেবো মেইন লিস্টে।
হুম হুম হুম, ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে, ওকে। Okay, what we have discussed the historical background, how the electronics developed, little bit of that one, to understand the subject that conventional electrical circuit, that is the energy sources, resistances, capacitances, or transformers. These are the conventional electrical circuits. You have learned it in the basic electrical class. If you add some electronic device like diode, transistor, this type of electronic device, obviously solid state electronic device, then the circuit will become an analog electronic circuit. Okay, and the circuit will become a non-linear circuit because together, you know that resistor, capacitor, inductor, these are all linear circuit elements, as well as the transformer. These are all linear circuit elements. But if you add into that circuit a semiconductor device like a diode or transistor, then the circuit will become a non-linear circuit. And that is the course of the analog electronic circuits. In this circuit, we will discuss several, like this one, this circuit. You can say that this is the, you see that this is the half-wave rectifier circuit. You see that. So here you have a transformer. So this is a transformer, this is a resistor, and this is a capacitor. All these are linear circuit elements. Together with, you have a diode. You have connected a diode here. So this is a diode, and that diode actually makes you a non-linear circuit. This entire circuit is becomes a non-linear, and that is a part of the, whenever you have a semiconductor device together with the conventional electrical circuits, then the entire circuit is analog electronic circuit. To analyze this type of circuit, you require the basic knowledge of the circuit theory or the conventional circuit elements, that circuit theory, as well as you have the knowledge of the semiconductor devices like diode, transistors. You should know the device, and you should know the structure of the device. You should know the working principle of the device. Otherwise, you cannot analyze the circuit. This semiconductor, this type of circuit, which is called the analog electronic circuits, these circuits has some specific application. For a particular purpose, it is used. No other circuit can do this type of application. only the analog electronic circuit, that means the circuit contains a semiconductor device, can do a particular specific purpose of a circuit. Just like that, suppose you want to convert a AC signal into DC signal, then you have to rectify the signal. Okay, so you require a rectifier circuit, half wave rectifier, full wave rectifier. We have discussed these things in the earlier semester, that how a full wave rectifier, how a half wave rectifier. And this is in the slide you can see that this is a half wave rectifier circuit. At the output you will get a half sinusoids, and that has a average value of the DC value. And in that way, you can convert a AC signal into DC signal. So this is one application. If you have a AC signal, you have to convert it into a DC signal. Then you have half wave rectifier, full wave rectifier. These sort of circuits you require, and that is truly an analog electronic circuit. One class of analog electronic circuit. Another type of analog electronic circuit may be a amplifier. Okay, you know that transistor or triode, first electronic amplifier, electrical amplifier was based on the triode. After the invention of the triode, the first electrical amplifier was developed. Signal can be amplified by that triode amplifier. Later on, after the invention of the transistor, then transistor actually replaces the triode, three-terminal device, and transistor amplifier actually works very efficiently and can amplify signal. So, signal amplifier or the amplifier is a very important application of the analog electronic circuits. A amplifier circuit you have to learn very precisely in the analog electronic circuit. This you will learn. So this amplifier is to amplify the signal. Why we amplify the signal? Because you are receiving some signal from the remote place. Suppose from the satellite you are receiving the signal. So there the signal is attenuated, very small signal is coming out, and you have to amplify the signal to boost the signal. Okay, so this is the application of the amplifier, to boost the signal with respect to the noise. Otherwise, you cannot receive the signal. Suppose it is a voice signal, then you cannot hear the signal. It is a picture signal, then you cannot get the picture. So you have to amplify the signal. So that is a class of circuit which is called the amplifier. Similarly, you have another class of circuit that is called the oscillator. I am just saying some few examples of the applications of this type of analog electronic circuits which uses semiconductor devices. Why these circuits or why analog electronics is so efficient and so influential? Because of the semiconductor devices and because of the application, different application, various applications you can be done by this type of circuits, which no other circuit can do this thing. No other alternative is there. Suppose an oscillator. Oscillator, perhaps you have heard the term oscillator. Oscillator is a circuit, analog electronic circuit based on the transistor or FET, MOSFET, this type of devices. Oscillator generates sine wave signal. A particular frequency and particular amplitude signal can be generated by a oscillator circuit. Suppose you want to transmit some signal to the from the mobile to the base station tower, then you have to generate a sine wave signal by a oscillator. Then you have to transmit it to the tower. So you require a signal generator of the oscillator. These various types of applications are there for this type of circuits, which is the conventional linear circuit elements, resistor, capacitor, inductor, or energy sources of transformer. If you build a circuit with this, then that will be a linear circuit. But if you add a semiconductor device into that circuit, then the circuit will become nonlinear, because the semiconductor devices are highly nonlinear. And that becomes an analog electronic. So conventional circuit, electrical circuit, becomes an analog electronic circuit if you add some semiconductor device to the circuit. So that is the only difference between the conventional electrical circuit and the analog electronic circuit, that there is a nonlinear semiconductor device into the circuit. And there are some specific applications, just we have said that rectifier is one application, amplifier is another application of the analog electronic circuit, as well as you have the oscillator. Similarly, so many things, so many other type of circuits in your syllabus is there. You have to understand the circuit, that how the circuit functions, how to analyze the circuit, how to understand the circuit. In the previous semester, we have discussed about the transistor, bipolar junction transistor. This bipolar junction transistor, you know that the first transistor was the point contact transistor, but later on, Dr. Shukla used the bipolar junction transistor, and that actually we have discussed in the earlier semester, basic electronics class. We have discussed this transistor and the characteristics of the transistor. I hope that you have learned this thing. So this is the bipolar junction transistor. We have discussed NPN or PNP. You see that all the three layers, NPN. So this is one NPN transistor. All the three layers, NPN or a PNP transistor, all the three layers of the PNP transistor are made of semiconductor. Usually the semiconductor is silicon. Okay. After the Russell OHL in 1940, he purified the semiconductor silicon, and then after that, after the purification of the silicon semiconductor, the semiconductor properties of the silicon emerges, and almost all the devices are mainly made of silicon. So this NPN or PNP 3 layer of silicon semiconductor is used mainly. So this we have discussed, bipolar junction transistor. This is the characteristics of the transistors, that are three regions are there: active region, saturation, and cutoff region. You know that if you want a transistor as an amplifier, then you have to bias the transistor in the active region. So this is the active region, and otherwise you have a saturation and the cutoff region. I am not discussing in detail because we have discussed this thing in the basic electronics class. Different operations are there, common base, common emitter configurations are there, and different regions of the BJT operation was discussed: the active region, cutoff region, and the saturation region. In case of active region, emitter-based junction, this junction, emitter-based junction is forward bias. In case of and the base collector junction is reverse biased, so this junction is reverse biased. In case of cutoff region, both the junctions will be reverse biased, so no current can flow. Because if you know that a junction, if it is a reverse bias, hardly any current flow, only the minority saturation current flows. So two junctions does not allow any current, so no current will flow. And the saturation, in case of saturation region, emitter base and base collector, both the junctions are forward bias. You know that if a PN junction is forward bias, high current can flow. So both the junction is forward bias, so the transistor can allow a very large current through it. So these are the three operating genes of the transistor. We have discussed this thing, and we have also discussed the current components of the transistors. And I hope that you remember this thing, that the current component of the transistor. This I have. I hope that you have understood this, that how the current actually different component of the current actually flows through a transistor in the active region, and we have also discussed that where is the amplification present between base collector or the base emitter or emitter collector, between which two terminal the amplification actually exists, and we have found that the collector current divided by the base current, there is the amplification. And we have made this amplification factor as a beta of the transistor, which is IC by IB. We have established this fact that in a transistor in the active region, the current actually, the emitter current actually is a part of the emitter current goes to the as a collector current, and a very small fraction goes to the base current. So collector current by emitter current is always less than 1. So there is no amplification between these two current, but collector current by the base current, collector current by the base current, there is tremendous amplification in the transistor. So there is, that is called the beta of the transistor. We have found an expression for the beta, and we have very clearly established the fact that IC by IB is the amplification factor of the transistor. And this is the calculation we have done. I hope that you remember. So this is IC by IB, and this is beta. So that is the amplification factor of the transistor. And we have done all these things in basic electronics class. So with this knowledge of the transistor, what you know already about this transistor, that the transistor basic fundamental things, with this knowledge, we will now slowly go into the amplifier, transistor amplifier. So we are now in a position to understand that how a electrical amplifier with the transistor is built and how the circuit actually functions. So right from the beginning, the name transistor, you are actually listening this term transistor from the childhood, that there is a something is there, some element is there that is called the transistor, which is a magical thing. You have heard this thing term transistor from the childhood, and you have a perception that transistor is a very magical thing. This idea may have generated by itself. The transistor is a very magical thing. If any signal can touch the transistor, it automatically gets amplified. So this type of concept is there in the people, that though you are the engineering student, you have the knowledge of this thing little bit, but outside the engineering students, but that engineering stream, that means the people, normal people, they have heard about the transistor. So there is something is the transistor called transistor is there, which is a magical thing by which so many things can be done, and a signal can be amplified by a transistor. The mechanic who actually repair the radio or the other type of this type of electronic gadgets, they does not have this type of electrical knowledge and electronics engineering knowledge, but they have the idea that a transistor is a very good thing and it can amplify signal. So there may be a rumor or there may be a concept, perception that transistor is a magical thing. Okay, so transistor itself is a magical thing, but not in that way. So there may be a concept that transistor is a magical thing. Why it is a magical? In which respect it is magical? But if any signal actually touches transistor anyhow, then it will be boosted up, signal will be amplified. So if this concept may be there. Okay, but this is not true. The transistor, if the signal touches transistor, then the signal will be amplified. This does not happen in case of a transistor. What happens actually? So you have a transistor, PNP or NPN transistor. You know the working principle of the transistor, and also you know that you can amplify signal with the help of transistor. It is true that you can amplify signal with the help of transistor, but it is not true that if the signal touches transistor, then the signal will be amplified. It is not true. The true fact is that you have to make the transistor in an operating condition by some electrical circuit. So you have to give some voltages across the transistor terminals. The current will flow across the transistor. Then the transistor can amplify the signal. If you don't connect any voltage source or any energy source and current does not flow into the transistor, then the transistor cannot amplify signal. So to amplify the signal by a transistor, you need that transistor to be in the operating condition. You have to understand this thing very carefully. Why it is so? Because you have to learn this amplifier circuit. So transistor, you have a transistor and you have to make that transistor in the operating condition. How to make that transistor in the operating condition? You know that a transistor in the active region can amplify signal. What is the active region? Active region is emitter base junction is forward bias and base collector junction is reverse bias. So you have to apply some potential drop or the batteries across the emitter base junction to make the emitter base junction forward bias first, like this one. So you see that here in this picture, you see that this is the emitter. This is a PNP transistor. This is the emitter. And this is the base. And you have to make this emitter base junction forward bias by a battery. So this is the battery. You see that this is the battery connected between emitter and base. But the positive terminal is connected to the P side and negative terminal is connected to the N side. So definitely emitter base junction is forward biased by this battery. And base collector junction will be reverse biased. You see that this is the base region and this is the collector region, P collector and N base. It is connected by a battery. Collector P is connected to the negative of the battery and base N is connected to the positive terminal of the battery. So base collector junction, so this junction is definitely reverse bias because the battery makes it a reverse bias. You can also see that depletion region is quite wide. So it is definitely in the reverse bias. This is called the active region of the transistor. Base emitter junction is forward bias and base collector junction, this junction is reverse bias. So this is called the active mode or active region mode of the transistor. In this mode, transistor can amplify. In this mode, transistor can amplify. So first, you just carefully see here that to make the transistor in a active region mode, you have to connect some battery. In the base emitter, in the base collector, you have to connect some battery. So then, as the batteries are connected, some current will flow within the transistors. Different current will flow. So this is the picture, but different current actually flowing. Okay, this is the picture. So unless and until you energize the transistor to make the transistor in the operating region, in this case it is in the active region. So you have made this transistor by these two batteries and some external circuit. The transistor is in the active region. That means the base emitter junction is forward bias, base collector junction is reverse bias, which means base emitter junction is forward bias and the base collector junction is reverse bias. That means the transistor is definitely in the active region. In this region, after establishing this active region, then you apply the signal, your small signal, then the transistor can amplify the signal. So this is the way the transistor with the, in this way you can get the benefit of the transistor. That means you can get the amplification from the transistor. Without these batteries and the external circuits, if there is no potential drop across the transistor terminals and there is no current is flowing within the transistor, in that condition, you have not applied any batteries or any circuit, then the transistor cannot amplify any signal. Is that okay? So you have to understand this first. So you have to make the transistor in the operating condition. So some potential will be applied across the transistor by some external battery and external circuit. So different current will be flown across the transistor. Then you apply the signal. Then the transistor can amplify. So this is the basic principles of the transistor amplifier. Before applying the signal, before you apply the signal, you have to make the transistor energized. You have to make the transistor in the operating region. You have to make the transistor in the active region mode. To do so, you require some energy sources and external circuits to be connected fast. Then you apply the signal. So this, to make the transistor in the operating region, in the active region, you have to connect some batteries and external circuits elements, resistances or external circuit elements. That is called the biasing of the transistor. So the biasing of the transistor means to make the transistor in the operating condition or in the active region properly, precisely. Then you apply the AC signal, then your signal will be amplified. That is called the biasing. So before applying any AC signal, if you make a biasing of the transistor, then you are applying only the DC voltage sources. So the transistor condition will be DC. All the currents and voltages across the transistor will be DC. After you have made the transistor in the active region, then you apply the signal will be amplified. Signal means AC source. Then the AC will come. If you apply the AC signal, then AC signal will come, and at the output you will get a large version of the AC signal. So that is called the biasing. So this is the biasing of the circuit. So today we will discuss about the biasing of the transistor. Amplifier, what does the amplifier do? Any increase in the AC voltage or current or power is the result of the transfer of the energy from the applied DC supplies. So the AC signal, suppose this is the amplifier, you see that this is the amplifier. This is the symbol, actually this is the symbol of the amplifier within this triangular shape. This triangular shape is the amplifier symbol. This is the input side, and at the arrowhead you have the output. So if you apply a AC signal like this, so this is the AC signal you are applying at the input of the amplifier, then at the output you will get this type of amplified signal at the output. And this arrowhead, this is the symbol of the amplifier. Within this triangular shape, you have a transistor circuit, which is actually amplifying the signal. So you see that at the input you have a small AC signal whose power is low, and the output you have a large AC signal whose power is very large. So at the output you have a larger AC power, at the input you have a lower AC power. So you may think that there is a violation of the energy conservation principle, because input you are giving some low energy signal, and at the output you are getting some high energy signal whose power is high. So in output AC power is high compared to the input AC power. So this is the input AC power which is low, and this is the output AC power which is high. So you may say that there is a violation of the energy conservation principle in case of amplifier, but it is not so. Why? Because within this triangular shape you have a transistor amplifier circuit, and that transistor will only amplify after the biasing. Biasing means you have to connect some DC energy sources between different terminals of the transistor, then the transistor can amplify. So you have to give some input DC signal, DC energy to the transistor amplifier circuit. So this triangular shape requires some input DC. So input AC, low input AC power plus the input DC, a part of that input DC will be converted into the output AC, so the output AC will become larger. So there is the energy conservation law actually holds. So the purpose of the biasing, we are discussing about the biasing. The purpose of the biasing is to make the transistor is in the operating condition, to make the transistor is in the active region mode, such that emitter base junction is forward bias, base collector junction is reverse bias. This can be done with the help of battery, some external circuit. After you have made the transistor in the operating condition, then you apply AC signal. The signal will be amplified like this one. And what happens? The input AC power, at the output you will get a larger output AC power, but the extra AC power you are getting at the output, that will come from the DC biasing energy sources. So that is the function of the amplifier. And in this way, the amplifier actually work. And the biasing, what is the meaning of the biasing is like that. So first you have to make the transistor, first you have to make the transistor in the operating condition. For this reason, you require some biasing. So one example of the biasing circuit is like this one. We will discuss this circuit later, but for the time being, you just consider this circuit. I hope that you are already familiar with the transistor symbol. So this is one transistor. Can you see this transistor? This is a transistor symbol, and the arrowhead in the emitter side. So this is the emitter, this is in the middle is the base, and this is the collector. So emitter side, the arrowhead is outward. Can anybody say what is the type of the transistor? NPN or PNP?
NPN, sir.
NPN.
Yes, very good. It is a NPN transistor, and you know that it is the emitter is N. This is P, base is P. So if you apply the forward bias, the current direction, electron will enter it through the emitter, but the current will be in opposite of the electron flow. So the current will be in the outward side. So this is a NPN transistor. So to make this transistor as an amplifier, you require some biasing. So this is one arrangement for the biasing. You see that there is a DC battery source VCC is connected to the transistor with the two resistors. One resistor is between the VCC, and this is the collector point. You know, this is the collector point. So one resistor RC is connected between VCC, energy source, and the collector. Other resistor RB is connected between VCC, supply source, and base. So this is other resistors. These two resistors and the battery together gives the specific voltages and current across the transistor. This type of arrangement makes the base emitter junction forward bias, and the base collector junction will be reverse bias, or the transistor will be in the active region. Now this biasing is called the fixed bias circuit. This is called the fixed bias circuit. Now you see that due to these connections of the VCC battery and this resistance to the base, you have a current will flow into the base. So this is the base current. This will supply the base current, and this path, this RC and VCC will supply the collector current. So in this way, if you connect some DC battery sources VCC and resistances like this, then the transistor will be in the active region, and the current will flow through the transistor, and potentials will be across the different junctions, two junctions of the transistor. Then the transistor will be in the active region. Then your biasing, this is called the biasing of the transistor. By connecting some DC energy sources and resistances, you have to apply some specific potential across the base emitter junction, base collector junction. Then specific current will flow through the transistor, constant current will flow through the transistor. And this is the base current is flowing, which is constant. Capital I, capital B means DC current. So this is the base current is flowing through the transistor, and this is the collector current flowing through the transistor. These two currents are constant current because the source is connected, VCC is constant. And base emitter junction will be in the forward bias. So this will be VBE, base emitter junction. And this is the potential drop across the base collector junction. That will be in the reverse bias because you know this is the N, P, and N. So collector is N, it is connected to the plus VCC. So definitely collector base junction will be reverse bias. So the transistor will be in the active region. This is called the biasing of a transistor, connecting some DC energy sources together with the resistors to make the transistor in the active region is called the biasing of the transistor. So first you have to get the biasing of the transistor, then you apply the signal, your signal will be amplified. So this is called the biasing of the transistor. You all know that in case of a common emitter, a transistor mode, the output characteristics is like this. So this is the output characteristics of the transistor. But in this side, you have the collector emitter voltage, the voltage drop between the collector and the emitter. So this is the collector emitter voltage drop. And in the vertical line, you have the collector current flowing through the transistor. So this is the collector current flowing. So if you plot this with respect to the different base current, then this you already know that this will be the characteristics of the transistor. For different base current, you will get this type of collector current and collector emitter voltage variation. These characteristics we have seen in the earlier semester class, that you have this region is called the active region, where the base emitter junction is forward bias and the base collector junction is reverse bias. And below this line, where IB equal to 0, below this line, this portion, all the two junctions are reverse biased, and that is called the cutoff region. And to the left hand side of this line, two junctions will be forward biased, and that is called the saturation region. Except this cutoff and saturation region, in the middle you have the active region. So within this region, you have to bias the transistor in this region to act as an amplifier. So that is why the operating points would be in the middle of the active region. We will discuss by the equation that what is Q point, what is the quotient point, and what are the coordinates. We will find out in case of self-bias circuit. For the time being, you just understand that what is called a biasing, why we require biasing in case of transistor amplifier. Now, transistor is a three-terminal device. Okay. The current flowing through between the collector and emitter, this is a very large current. The current flowing between collector and emitter is a very large current. All the three-terminal devices, not only the transistor, all the three-terminal devices like the triode, the FET, MOSFET, CMOSFET, all the three-terminal devices, there are three electrical terminals of the device. What happens between two terminal, like the transistor in case of emitter and collector, between these two terminals, high current can flow, milliampere order current flows. The third terminal, suppose in this case of transistor, the base terminal, through base terminal only a very fraction of the current, very small current flows, and of the order of microampere current actually flows. 1,000 times less current actually flows through the base terminal. So base terminal, through this terminal, microampere current is flowing, and through the collector and emitter, between the collector and emitter, milliampere order of current is flowing. So this base current in the characteristics is the microampere order. But this collector current, which is these collector currents of the order of milliampere order. How the transistor actually amplify, you can understand that if you change the base current like a sinusoid, then what happens actually? If you change the base current, then suppose you are changing the base current like this type of sinusoid, then what will happen? Just a minute. Suppose you have applied some signal here like this, AC signal. After biasing, you are applying some AC signal here. So this current is microampere order. Now you change the base current. Similarly, the collector current will change. So the current variation between the collector and emitter, which is a very large current, will vary similarly. So at the output, you will get. So what is the purpose of this base terminal? Base terminal current actually controls the flow between the collector and emitter terminal. Control the current flow between the collector and emitter terminal. If you change the base current, slightly similar change will appear between the collector and emitter terminal, but the current is very high, milliampere order. So you are actually controlling a milliampere current between two terminals by a small current at the base terminal, which is microampere order. So similar variation you will get between collector and emitter if you apply a very small signal at the base. So this is the basic principles of the amplifier. So for this reason, if you apply a very small signal like this one at the base, similar variation, this is the control terminal, base is the control terminal to control the current flow between collector and emitter. So similar variation will be seen between collector and emitter as the base variation, but the phase will be different, phase will be opposite. So in this case, you will get a very large signal, oppositely phased, very large signal you will get because the collector to base, a collector and emitter current is very high. So at the output, you will get a very large signal. Whereas at the input, you have only applied some small signal. So this is the principle, basic principles of the transistor. We will understood this thing later. This, sorry. This figure actually gives you that idea that how the actually signal is amplified. So you have to set first a operating point, Q point. So this is the Q point, and these are the three characteristics curves you are actually taken. And this is the collector current and collector emitter voltage. You are all familiar with this characteristics curve. And these three curves are corresponding to a particular base current. So if you apply some small base current, so in the middle curve, this is the middle output characteristics curve where the base current is, you see that 300 microampere. So the base current is of the order of microampere. But the collector current is of the order of milliampere. You just see that collector current is of the order of milliampere. So there is the amplification. Base current is of the order of a microampere, but the collector current is of the order of milliampere. So there is the amplification. You can change this milliampere current by this small microampere current by applying some signal to the base. So there is the amplification property of the transistor. So for the middle characteristics curve, you have the base current is 300 microampere. For the top characteristics curve, you have the base current 400 microampere. And for the bottom characteristics curve, you have the 200 microampere. So now you are applying some AC signal to this base input, and the variation of the AC signal is like this. So when the AC signal is 0, the base current is 300 microampere. When the AC signal reaches the peak, then the base current becomes 400 microampere. And when the AC signal reaches the bottom, then the base current reduces from the 300 to 200 microampere. So it will follow this curve. Okay, so this is the variation of the input AC signal at the base you have applied. If you apply like this to this circuit at the input, you have applied a AC signal at the input side, like that one, then what will happen? Then when the input AC signal is 0, so the characteristics curve of the transistor is this one. This is the collector current. When the input base current increases to 400 microampere, so also the collector current characteristics reaches to this one. And similarly, when the characteristics curve goes down to 200 microampere, then the characteristics curve also reaches to this one. So as the input signal varies, then the Q point of the operating point of the transistor actually vary according to this one. So in this way, the Q point also vary, and at the output side, you will have a collector current variation. When the base current is 300 microampere, collector current is this one, 30 milliampere. When the base current is 400 microampere for the positive peak, collector current becomes 40 milliampere. And when the base current becomes 200 microampere for the negative peak, the collector current becomes 20 milliampere. So the collector current basically vary between 30 to 40 to 20. In this way, collector current vary, and this variation is of the order of milliampere order. And whereas the input signal vary of the order of microampere order. So this is the input signal, and you are getting the signal from the collector side. So this variation is of the order of milliampere, so there is the amplification. So in this way, the transistor actually amplify. You will understand this fact quite more deeply if as we go on the discussion, as we progress the discussion further. Just to give you the idea of the how the transistor actually operate and how the transistor actually amplify signals. We will define this Q point in a specific circuit. For the time being, you just know that this Q point is the operating point for the transistor. Okay, what happens if the signal goes beyond the active region? What happens if the signal goes beyond the active region? So this is within this region. This is the region which is called the active region. If the signal is within this active region, then the signal will be amplified at the output. Entire signal will be amplified at the output. There will be no distortion, hardly any distortion. If the signal is not within the active region, then if the signal goes into the saturation or cutoff region, this is the saturation region. If the signal goes into the saturation region or the cutoff region, then at the output side you will get the signal will be distorted, signal will be clipped. So biasing, you have to not only you have to bias the transistor, you have to bias the transistor properly. You have to bias the transistor properly. This is one example of the transistor amplifier where you have biased the transistor in the middle of the active region, So this is the active region, and this is called the load line actually. We will define this thing load line later. In the middle of the active region, you have to bias the transistor in such a way that the Q point, so this quotient point, this point appears when there is no AC signal. So this is the Q point. This Q point becomes in the middle of the active region. So this is the Q point where the that is called the middle of the active region when there is no AC signal. So what will be the what is the current actually flowing through the transistor? The current flowing through the transistor is this one, 30 milliampere, and this is the Q point, and the voltage across the transistor is this one. This is the coordinate where the voltage is. The voltage is this one, VCEQ. This is the constant collector emitter voltage, and this is the base current, constant base current, 30 microampere. These are the coordinates of the Q point. If you don't apply any AC signal, only you have biased the transistor, you have to bias it properly such that this Q point becomes within the middle of the active region. So that is you have to make this biasing proper such that the Q point becomes the middle of the active region. Now I just want to give you some idea. If you bias the transistor improperly, that means your biasing is not correct. Suppose this Q point is not in the middle of the active region, it goes suppose shifted towards this one, this side, or towards this side due to the improper biasing, then what will happen to the output signal? So this is the picture where you get that, you see that, just to give you some idea about what is actually happening in case of improper biasing. So this is again the VCE is the collector emitter voltage. This is the VIC, that is the collector current, and this is the load line. And instead of in the middle of the active region, Q point, here is the Q point. If the Q point is here, then your biasing is proper. Now in this case, the biasing is not proper. That you see that the Q point is shifted upwards. So this is the Q point which have been shifted upwards. It is not in the middle of the active region. So this is called the improper biasing. Just see this the effect of the improper biasing. You should just have an idea of the improper biasing, that what will happen if the biasing is not proper. First, you have to bias the transistor to get some amplification from the transistor. Then the next point is you have to bias the transistor in a proper way. Proper biasing requires. What is the proper biasing? Proper biasing means you have to make the operating point or the Q point in the middle of the active region, just like this one. So this is the Q point which is in the middle of the active region. So if you make this Q point, operating point of the transistor in the middle of the active region, then your biasing is proper. Otherwise, if you are biasing, you have biased the transistor, but the biasing is not proper, then what will happen? So this is the picture gives you that if the biasing is not proper, then instead of in the middle of the Q point, the Q point shifted upward. So you see that clearly this Q point is shifted upward. Then what will happen to the signal? Just to get an idea that in case of improper biasing in this case, what will happen to the output signal? So, so this is the entire active region, but the Q point is not in the middle of the active region. It is slightly towards upward. So if the Q point is upward, then the input AC signal will swing like this. So this is the Q point, where which is the position of the operating point for the base current is 0. That means there is no input AC signal. Now, if we apply some AC signal, then input AC signal will swing across this Q point line. Okay, so this input AC signal will swing like this. In case of improper biasing, Q point is not in the middle, but in this case, you see that Q point is in the middle, and the input AC signal swing is also symmetric with respect to the Q point. But in this case, the Q point is shifted upward. Input AC signal swing is like this. Now you see, as the Q point is shifted upward, then some portion of the input AC signal, this portion, that is some positive half cycle portion, peak of the positive half cycle portion, crosses the active region. So this is the active region, but it actually crosses the active region and penetrates into the saturation region. So this is the saturation region. So this portion of the signal actually penetrates into the saturation region. And you know that in case of saturation region, the transistor, okay, in case of saturation region, the transistor will allow only a constant current. So signal will be clipped. So this portion of the signal will be clipped. So that is why you see that at the output side, this portion above this line, the signal portion have been clipped, because the swing of the input AC signal actually penetrates into the saturation region. So this is the saturation region, and this is the active region. So this swing of the input AC signal penetrates into the saturation region, and you know that in case of saturation region, both the junction will be forward bias. Large current will flow. The transistor will act as a short circuit. So that is why this portion of the signal have been clipped off. So this portion of the signal have been clipped off, but the entire negative half cycle is within the active region. So you will get the entire negative half cycle signal swing. This happens when the biasing is not proper. You have to bias the transistor, as well as you have to bias the transistor in a proper fashion. That means that you have to make the Q point in the middle of the active region. If somehow the Q point shifted towards the upward side, the signal, some portion of the signal, positive half cycle portion of the signal will penetrate into the saturation region, and at the output you will get that portion of the signal will be clipped out. So this signal is not the input signal. This is a distorted signal due to the improper biasing of the transistor. Okay, I hope that you have understood that why we require biasing and why we require proper biasing. Because if you don't have the proper biasing, if the Q point is not in the middle of the active region, at the output, the signal will be distorted. Some portion of the signal will be clipped off. In this case, here the Q point is shifted towards the upward side, and positive half cycle portion of the signal have been clipped off. So this is a distorted signal. So you have to make a proper amplifier. So you have to make a proper biasing. So this is the main thing you have. I just want to say that you have to make a proper biasing. If you don't have a proper biasing, then the signal will be distorted like this one. So transistor, you just see that transistor is driven into the saturation because the Q point is too close to the saturation for the given input signal, and the output signal will be distorted. And in a similar manner, You can understand that in this figure, again, this is a example of the improper biasing, where the Q point is not in the middle of the active region. Here, Q point is not here, middle, but the Q point is shifted towards the cutoff region. So Q point is slightly shifted towards the cutoff region. You know that this is the cutoff region, where both the junction is reverse bias and no current will flow. This is the saturation region, where both the junctions is forward bias. High current can flow. Transistor acts as a short circuit or on condition. This is the region where both the junction is cut off. That means the no current actually flows. So this is the off condition of the transistor. This is the on condition of the transistor. These two region is used for the transistor for the switch on, switch off. That is the switching purpose. Otherwise, in the middle, this portion is called the active region, where the base emitter junction is forward bias, base collector junction is reverse bias. This portion, active region, is used for the amplification purpose. You are biasing the transistor to make the transistor in the active region. Not only that, to biasing the transistor in the middle of the active region. So the Q point, quotient point will be in the middle. But in this case, you see that the Q point is not in the middle, but it is shifted towards the cutoff region. Then what will happen? Again, you can very easily understand that the positive half cycle of the signal will be entirely in the active region. So you will get the entire positive half cycle collector current. So at the output, you will get the entire positive half cycle. But in case of in the negative half cycle, you see that the signal, as the Q point is shifted towards the cutoff region, so the some portion of the negative half cycle, that is this portion of the negative half cycle, actually goes into the cutoff region. So the Q point for this negative half cycle, the Q point goes to the this axis, that means within the penetrates into the cutoff region. So this portion of the signal is in the cutoff region. Okay. So this is again a improper biasing. For this biasing, you see that the output for the positive half cycle is entire, you will get the entire signal, but some portion of the signal, this portion of the signal, which is actually penetrating into the cutoff region, will be clipped off. This is the portion of the signal at the output that is have been clipped off due to the cutoff region, because the signal actually goes to the cutoff region. This is a improper biasing. So the output of the amplifier is not according to the input. So there is a malfunctioning of the amplifier. So definitely you see that this output signal is not desired. So this signal is not desired because you are not getting the entire input signal. So this is called the improper biasing. So you have to bias the transistor to get the amplification, as well as you have to bias the transistor in a proper way such that the Q point is in the middle of the active region, and your signal at the output, you will get the complete entire signal, undistorted signal at the output of the amplifier. So just to give you this idea that why we require biasing, why we have to get a proper biasing to get a proper amplifier from the transistor. I hope that you have understood that detailed analysis. We will discuss this thing, Q point, load line, everything for a specific circuit. But for the time being, you just understand that how the transistor amplify, why we require biasing, and why we require proper biasing to set the Q point in the middle of the active region. If you don't do these things, then the output of the signal will be distorted, not will be according to the input signal. Okay. Have you understood? Have you got this thing? Conceptually just understand that what is a biasing, how the amplifier actually signal, what is the proper biasing. This is a proper biasing. And
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah. Ask.
Sir, what is the reason of the improper biasing in a circuit? Any circuit?
Improper biasing means your designing is not correct. You have made an error in the designing. That is why the Q point is shifted. Is that okay? In case of yeah, I can get you because your voice is interrupt.
What is
Definition
the
of the
definition of this point? Q point.
We will
Quotient
we,
point.
we, up for the time being, you just assume that Q point is the quotient operating point. It has to be set to the middle of the active region. If you don't have any signal, input signal, then the Q point will be in the middle of the active region. This is called the quotient point. We have a detailed discussion on the quotient of that quotient point definition, the equations. We will discuss this thing. Today, we only have the idea of the biasing and how the amplifier actually work, and improper biasing, what will be the effect. Later on, we have a detailed discussions and definitions of the Q point. Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
Any other question? Improper biasing.
And what is the
It's
effect,
not-
sir? Only short circuit.
Which one?
Improper biasing.
You can see that this is a pure sinusoidal at the input. This is your desired signal. Suppose it is a voice signal of somebody. Somebody has sang a song like this one. And at the output, you are getting this one. So some portion of the song you will get it distorted. So their tone will be distorted, melody will be lost. It's not it. So if you get this type of output signal as a song, then how you will get? You don't have the complete song. Some portion of the song will be distorted. So the noise will be there. Some irregular sound will be there. Is that okay?
Noise. Yes, sir. Yes. Yes. Thank you, sir.
So you require entire signal. If it is a song, then you require the entire signal to get a very melodious song. To hear a particular melodious song, you require the entire. This portion of the song will be absent, so that is not desired. In case of a song, in case of a picture also, in case of a picture, some portion of the pictures will be damaged. So you will not get the entire picture, as well as the video.
Noise
Some
is
portion
there.
of
Noise is there. Noise is there.
some portion of the video will be there, because in your television, I hope that in your television, whenever there is some raining or fading is there, you will get some portion of the picture okay, some portion of the picture will not be okay. So this is the case of that if this portion of the picture video is not there, this portion is absent because of the improper biasing, then when you put into the TV, you are getting the signal at the TV, then some portion of within the TV picture video will be distorted. You cannot properly understand that what is that. So that is why you require the entire signal before you apply to the output device. Suppose you are listening a song in a radio, and radio amplifier actually gives you the proper signal, then you will get the entire signal. If has a improper biasing, then you will get a distorted version of the song. It appears to be awkward because the complete song is not there. In case of television, before applying to the output device like the radio or the microphone, speaker or the picture tube, then you require the complete signal. Otherwise, the signal will be distorted. Signal will be which is not desired. So that is, you require a complete signal at the output before you apply to the input-output device. You require the complete signal to be fed to the television, or complete signal to be fed to the microphone speaker. So that is why you require the complete signal. So this portion of the signal is not there. It's absent. It's a distortion of the signal. So that is undesired in case of a class A amplifier. Okay. So you will understand after, because at the same time, I cannot give you the entire idea. Day by day, you will get the complete idea. So this type of distortion is undesirable in case of a in case of an amplifier. So you require a proper biasing. Improper biasing is due to the is not done by a good engineer, that they have made an error in the biasing design. That is why this type of Q point is shifted and the signal is distorted at the output. Okay.
Yes,
Any
sir.
other question? Any other question?
No, sir.
This is just a brief idea. This is not a complete idea. Specific circuit will be analyzed, and specific circuit will be designed and analyzed to get the complete idea. This is for the beginning purposes. Okay, just to make you understand that this happens in case of amplifier. Why biasing? Why improper biasing actually causes distortion? So like this one. Okay. I hope that you have understood the concept of biasing. Before going into the detail of the biasing, we require the concept of biasing, why we need biasing, and why we require proper biasing, this sort of thing. What do we mean by a biasing of a transistor circuit or any amplifier circuit? Next comes the stability in case of transistor, bipolar junction transistor. We are discussing the bipolar junction transistor. Look carefully that if you understand the amplifier circuit with the help of a transistor, then you can understand any amplifier circuit designed by with the help of other devices like FET, MOSFET, JFET, CMOSFET, all the three terminal devices. The concept is same, triode, all the three terminal. If you can understand an amplifier circuit with the help of a transistor, then you can understand the amplifier circuit with the help of triode, with the help of FET, with the help of MOSFET, because all the three terminal devices, so the output characteristics is same. You can check it. The FET also has this type of output characteristics. MOSFET also has this type of output characteristics, as well as the triode also has this type of output characteristics, because this type of output characteristics is required for a three terminal devices to get some amplification. Only difference is that you have a different device. If you use a triode valve, then you have a cathode plate and grid. If you use a bipolar junction transistor, then you have a PNP or NPN semiconductor layers. If you use a FET, you know that MOSFET, you have a source, gate, and drain. Okay. If you have a FET, also you have source, gate, and drain. So construction will be different, but the characteristics is same, and the circuit will be little bit different, but the operation, the concept of the amplifier is same. So if you understand the amplifier circuit with the help of transistor, then you can understand the any amplifier circuit with the other devices. This is the advantage of understanding the amplifier circuit with the help of transistor for this time being. And unfortunately, transistor is going to be obsolete. Okay. But the concept you gathered from the transistor circuits will help you to understand the amplifier circuit with the help of FET, MOSFET, any three terminal device that you require. Okay, that is why we are analyzing. We will understand the transistor amplifier, then you will understand any other circuit, any other devices. The same concept, same similar type of concept will be there. And I am saying that transistor is almost obsolete. The transistor three terminal device nowadays used is the MOSFET. The MOSFET, source, gate, and drain, that structure, that MOSFET is used in the VLSI circuit. So all the circuit, VLSI circuit usually based on the MOSFET circuit. So the transistor has some disadvantage. Transistor is noisy. It gets some large space within the chip, and its power consumption is large. So these sort of things, it cannot be reduced to a small dimension, whereas the FET, MOSFET basically can be reduced to a very small dimension. So that is why year by year, the speed of the processor actually increases. So that will be the benefits of the MOSFET that is not present in the transistor case. So that is why the transistor is now almost obsolete, but the transistor-based circuit will make you help to understand the other three terminal device circuits, that is FET, MOSFET, like this. Okay, this quotient point, I have just said that you require biasing and you require proper biasing. In case of proper biasing, you have the Q point should be in the middle of the active region. So this is the proper biasing, and you have perhaps understood that if the biasing is not correct, then the Q point shifted towards the upward or downward side, then the signal will be distorted. So this quotient point or Q point should be in the middle of the active region. So you have to choose the operating point of the transistor in the middle of the active region. So this is the active region in the middle of the characteristics curve. You have to choose the operating point here in the middle of the active. Perhaps you have understood this concept. Somehow we have to make this operating point Q point in the middle of the active region. But there is some instability in the transistor. that actually causes this Q point to be shifted towards the upward or towards the downward side. This instability is inherent within the transistor. We will now discuss about the little bit of the instability of the biasing circuits of the transistor. What are the factors that actually gives you the instability in a transistor circuit? So far, what we have understood, the operation of the transistor, basic principles of the transistor, we have discussed in the earlier semester. You know, already you know that between base and collector, you have the amplification of a transistor. Then you have to make the transistor to amplify. We have to bias the transistor. And also we have to bias the transistor to set the operating point, Q point, quotient point in the middle of the active region. If somehow the Q point shifted towards the upward or downward side, the signal will be distorted. Just pictorially, I have just make you understand that this will happen in case of amplifier. If you have improper biasing, if the Q point shifted towards the upward or towards the downward side by design, if there is any error in the design, if there is any error in the design, then the Q point may be shifted towards the down like this one, or maybe shifted towards the up. Then you have a distorted signal at the output of the amplifier. Not only the design, also some factors within the transistor is responsible for the Q point shifting. In a very good amplifier, you require this Q point to be very stable in the middle of the active region. That Q point should be very fixed in the middle of the active region. But transistor is an electrical device. What happens? You have designed the Q point in the middle of the active region, but during the operation of the amplifier, this Q point may change, shift due to some instability of the device, transistor device. Because transistor is a semiconductor, you all know that if the temperature changes, then the characteristics of the semiconductor changes. That actually causes amplification factor, other things to change. That actually shifts the Q point slightly. So these are the instability that actually changes the Q point, or that actually changes the Q point slightly. If you don't control those instabilities by some external circuit, it causes some instability in the transistor. I hope that you have understood this phenomenon, this thing. There are mainly three basic factors that actually causes the instability of the transistors. We will discuss one by one. You have also learned in the basic electronics class that earlier classes that if you increase the temperature of the semiconductor, then you know that if you increase the temperature, then the electron hole pair covalent bond will break down, electron hole pair will be generated, so carrier concentration will change, and the currents also will change. So semiconductor, specifically silicon, is a very sensitive to the temperature. Okay, so you know that if you put the semiconductor in the absolute zero temperature, then it will be a perfect insulator. But if you increase the temperature, then the electron covalent bond will be generated, and they will, as you increase more, and you get the semiconductor will change. So silicon are very sensitive to the temperature. So there is the temperature sensitivity. If somehow temperature changes, then the current characteristics of the device will change. Is that okay? So, so this is the main problem in case of this type of device, specifically transistor. You see that the first line, the Q point can change due to the instability of the collector current, and there are three sources of instability of the collector current. Not only by design, due to the device structure and the device operation, the Q point can change. One reason is that temperature. The reverse saturation current, ICO, that actually changes with respect to the temperature. This is a temperature sensitive current, ICO. I don't have time to discuss this class again, that current components of the transistor. So this is the current component actually that within the transistor. You know that you see this picture. If you interested in, then you can go to the Streetman book in the transistor chapter. At the beginning, you have this current component discussion, and there is the amplification factor calculation. So this all sort of calculation is there, and you will have a very good and clear idea of the transistor amplification. But you need a very good knowledge of the transistor current components. What happens? You know that the emitter base junction is forward bias. Base collector junction is reverse bias. This is the case of the active region of the transistor. And this base collector junction is reverse bias. So reverse bias PN junction, you know that a saturation current ICO actually flows through the transistor. So this is the saturation current is flowing between the reverse saturation current. You know that in case of any PN junction, in the reverse bias, a reverse saturation current flows, and that is this ICO. Okay, because of the base collector junction is reverse bias in case of a transistor active region. This reverse current is due to the minority temperature, minority carrier, thermally generated minority carrier current. Okay, the majority currents, that in case of P type you have the majority carriers P, but the minority carriers is electron. In case of N type you have the majority carriers electron, but the minority carriers are holes. Those minority carriers are thermally generated covalent bond breakage carriers. The majority carriers mainly due to the doping, the impurity added to the semiconductor crystal. In case of N, you have added some phosphorus, arsenic, extra electron is being donated by this element. But within the N-type semiconductor, you have some minority holes. That holes actually generated from the covalent bond breakage due to the thermal energy. So that is the minority carriers. So this current ICO is not due to the majority carrier. This current ICO is the reverse saturation current between the emitter and base, a base and collector in P junction. This current is due to the minority carriers, okay, due to the thermally generated carriers. This current is the main culprit in the transistor action. You have to understand the role of this current very carefully. Though in the calculation we have avoided this current, but this minority reverse saturation current, because of the reverse bias between the base and collector, this is the thermally generated minority carriers current. This constant small current is the main culprit in the transistor action. What happens if somehow this temperature of the base collector junction changes, suppose increases, somehow the temperature of the base collector junction increases. What happens? This ICO increases. If the ICO increases, then the collector current increases. If the ICO increases, you definitely know that the total collector current is the holes coming from the emitter plus this current. So the collector current increases. If the collector current increases, then what will happen? This base collector junction temperature will increase, heat loss will increase. So as the temperature increases, again this collector current, saturation current increases. So in this way, the temperature of the base collector junction increases and ultimately the transistor will melt down. So this is called the thermal runaway of a transistor. Due to this ICO, there is an effect which is called the thermal runaway, which actually damages the transistor. Is that okay?
So how to reduce the saturation current in the circuit?
Okay. I am coming to that is called the stability. That is why we have to discuss the stability. So this is the thermal runaway. What is the thermal runaway? That base collector reverse bias junction, there is a minority saturation current is always flow. Okay. That minority saturation current, this minority saturation current, this ICO is the due to the reverse biasing of the base collector junction. And this collector current, this current in the base collector junction is coming from the emitter side. The carriers holes are coming from the emitter side. So this is the current responsible for the carriers coming from the hole. But this is the current, reverse bias current, which is responsible for the base collector reverse biasing. Total collector current, which is coming out, so this is the collector current, is the carriers of the current coming from the emitter plus the reverse saturation current. This reverse saturation, this current which is coming from the emitter is due to the majority carriers. This current is due to the doping. But this ICO, which is the reverse saturation current, is due to the covalent bond breakage of the thermally generated carriers. Though this current is very small, microampere order, but this ICO is the main culprit. If somehow the temperature increases slightly, then what will happen? This will increase this ICO because it is a thermally generated carriers current. So this will increase, more covalent bond will break down, more electron hole pair of the minority carriers will generate it, and this current will increase. If this current increases, the total collector current flowing through the junction will increase. That will again increase the temperature of the junction, and that will again increase this ICO. And in this way, it will go on within a very short period of time. This will go on, and the temperature of this junction will be so high that transistor will melt down or broke down. So this is called the thermal runaway. This is written here. Increase of the temperature changes ICO, hence the collector current increases, hence the collector current IC. This increased collector current hits the collector junction, this one. Then what will happen? This again increases ICO further. This process is cumulative, causing the temperature of the junction to exceed the rated value, base collector junction exceeds the rated value, the tolerated temperature value of the base collector junction, and the transistor will be damaged. This is called the thermal runaway. This is the main problem in case of a transistor circuit as an amplifier or the biasing. So we have to not only do the biasing, not only do the proper biasing, but we have to take care of this thermal runaway effect such that the transistor does not damage. For this reason, we have to check the stability factors, that how to make the stability of the transistor more. What are the reasons for the stability? What are the factors that actually changes the stability of the transistor? Stability means we have to make the Q point stable in the middle of the active region. But this thermal runaway, or this, there are several phenomena is there that actually changes the currents and the temperature of the transistor, that actually shifts the Q point upside or downside. That is called the instability. So we have to consider the stability of the transistor. What are the stability factors? That reverse saturation current ICO, which is temperature dependent. We have discussed this thing, and which doubles every 10 degree rise in temperature. So you see that if the temperature of the junction rises by 10 degree, then ICO, this culprit current, this reverse saturation current, this ICO doubles. So that will cause the temperature, that will give you a phenomena which is called the thermal runaway, and the transistor will be damaged. This is one of the factors that actually changes, that actually causes the stability, that actually hampers the stability of the transistor circuit. Second one, the base emitter voltage. The base emitter voltage of the transistor, you know that every semiconductor device is temperature dependent. That is the main reason, because the semiconductors are basically silicon or the germanium are highly temperature sensitive. If you increase the temperature, covalent bond will break down, current carriers will be changed. If the carrier changes, then the voltage and current also flowing through the devices will change. This base emitter junction, so this is the base emitter junction. What happens? This base emitter junction, you know that if the transistor is forward bias, then this will be the base emitter junction. In case of transistor is forward bias, base emitter junction means P emitter and N base. So this is a PN junction. So in the middle, you have a depletion region with depletion region where the immobile charges are there. Potentials will be developed across the depletion. You know that in case of silicon, that is a 0.7 volt. You will get at the depletion region. So electric field region. So that is the base emitter That will actually give you the, in case of transistor, it will give you the base emitter voltage. In case of a diode, it is the barrier potential. In case of silicon, it is 0.7 volt, as well as in case of a transistor, the emitter and base is just a PN junction. So in the middle, you have a base emitter junction. As it is a forward bias, so base emitter junction, that barrier potential will be there. You know that 0.7 volt will be there. This base emitter voltage is dependent on the temperature. If the temperature increases, the base emitter voltage decreases. Because of the semiconductor is highly sensitive to the temperature. So that is the second factor, is the base emitter voltage. Base emitter voltage VBE, which is forward bias, falls at the rate of 2.5 millivolt per degree centigrade. If the temperature of the semiconductor or the environment increases, the base emitter voltage fall down by 2.5 millivolt per degree centigrade for both silicon and germanium transistor. So this is due to the temperature sensitivity of the device for the temperature. If the temperature fluctuates somehow, then base emitter voltage changes. So temperature causes the saturation current ICO changes. Temperature causes the base emitter voltage also changes. If this constant parameters changes, then the stability of the transistor will change, or the current voltages will change, Q point will change. So this is the second factor. And last one is the beta. Mainly as the devices, semiconductor devices, these crystals, basically these crystals are highly temperature sensitive. So temperature actually causes the different parameter changes. That actually causes the instability in the transistor action. Third one is the beta of the transistor. You know that beta of the transistor is the collector current by the base current. So the collector current by the base current is the amplification factor of the transistor, which is beta, which will be constant because you have designed the transistor circuit taking the particular value of beta, suppose 100 or 110. You have taken the beta particular value 110 and designed the circuit, and due to the temperature, this beta will change. If the beta changes, then your entire design is wrong. Then you have to recalculate, but because the Q point will not be in the middle, because the temperature changes, beta changes. So your entire design will fall. Entire design will not work. So this is the problem of the semiconductors. So in case of transistor, if the temperature changes, this beta changes. If the beta changes, then your design will not work and the current voltages will change. And slight changes of the temperature causes beta change, as well as the VB, base emitter forward bias, will change. Collector saturation current, ICO, will change. This all due to these temperature changes. This all changes will affect your design, and your Q point, which you have made, you have designed for the middle of the active region, may shift. So this is the main function. This is the main reason. The Q point shifts due to these temperature changes. The three factors are responsible for the shifting of the temperature or the stability of the transistor biasing circuit. I hope that you have understood that why this stability concern is required, why this instability appears into the transistor, mainly because of the temperature fluctuation of the device or the environment that causes ICO, VBE, and beta of the transistor to change. Hope that you have understood this, whatever is the semiconductor knowledge of you. You can easily understand these three factors, which is dependent on the temperature, actually hampers the stability of the transistor. We will define three parameters because we have to counter this instability in the transistor because of the temperature fluctuation. We have to design the circuit in such a manner such that this instability is removed and the transistor biasing circuit works properly, and your amplifier give you a good stable output. Hope that you have understood this thing. That is why we require three stability factors. We have to define three stability factors. Stability factor is defined as S. This capital S is the stability factor. First, we have to define the main culprit, that is the stability factor with respect to the collector saturation current ICO. So this is the stability factor SICO, defined as del IC by del ICO. So this is the differentiation. Del is used because other factors is also there. We are only looking for the rate of change of collector current with respect to collector saturation current. So that is why del IC by del ICO. This will be the stability factor with respect to ICO. Is that okay? So we first define these stability factors, 3 stability factors. Then we will counter this problem in case of actual design, in case of actual particular circuit, and how to counter this instability of the transistor amplifier circuit or the biasing circuit. SICO is the stability factor with respect to the collector saturation current. Means rate of change of collector current, which is the output current, which actually gives you the output current. Collector current will give you the output signal. So rate of change of collector current with respect to the collector saturation current. Why this collector saturation current changes? Because the temperature changes the collector saturation current, then the total collector current can change. So rate of change of collector current with respect to the collector saturation current will give you this stability S with respect to ICO. If this SICO becomes 0, then there is no change of the collector current with respect to the collector saturation current. That means your transistor is highly stable. Is that okay? So if the value of this stability factor SICO becomes 0, if you can make this stability factor 0 in a circuit, that means collector current is independent of ICO. So collector current will be stable, whatever is the change of the ICO with respect to temperature. So this stability factor SICO, the best value is 0. If this stability factor is very high, then your transistor is your circuit is very unstable, because if slight changes of the collector saturation current will change the collector current very prominent. So this SICO should be, ideal value should be 0, but it is not so. But we have to make this SICO as small as possible, close to 0, to make the transistor biasing circuit more stable. Hope you have got this point. So in this way, we have to first define, calculate this parameter in a particular circuit. Then we have to choose the parameters in such a way that S value should be closer to the 0. Then your circuit will be very stable. So this is the basic fundamental way to make your transistor circuit, biasing circuit, very stable. The second one is SVBE. SVBE is defined as rate of change of collector current, which is the output current actually, rate of change of collector current with respect to the base emitter voltage. So SVBE is rate of change of collector current with respect to the base emitter voltage. If the base emitter voltage forward bias changes, then collector current will change. You know from the transistor action. So why this base emitter voltage changes? Because of the temperature. If the temperature changes, base emitter voltage changes, then the collector current will change. And the stability factor SVB is the rate of change of collector current with respect to the base emitter voltage. Again, if you can make this SVB 0, that means the collector current is independent of base emitter voltage. Collector current will not change with respect to the base emitter voltage. Then you have the most stable transistor circuit. But it is not so. You cannot make it completely 0. So we have to make this SVBE close to very 0. We have to design the transistor circuit such that this SVBE is very small or close to 0. Similarly, the third one obviously will be S beta, the rate of change of collector current with respect to the transistor beta amplification factor. Why this is so? Because you know that IC equal to beta into IB. If the beta changes, then the collector current will change. So if you can make this, why this beta changes? Because of the temperature. So S beta equal to del IC by del beta. If you make this S beta close to 0, then your circuit is very stable. So these three factors, stability factors, is defined in this way. And in a particular biasing circuit, we have to calculate these three factors. And we have to choose a particular circuit parameters such that these stability factors becomes very low and your circuit is very stable. So in this way, in amplifier circuit, first you have to bias the circuit and design the circuit calculating these stability factors such that your circuit becomes stable. These three stability factors becomes very small. Then your circuit becomes stable. And also you have to put the Q point in the middle of the active region. Then you apply the signal. At the output, you will get a very constant and specific output signal. So these are the considerations we have to taken care of in case of transistor amplifier circuit. So primary idea to how the transistor amplifiers. It is not so easy that transistor is not a magical thing that a signal touches transistor and gets amplified. It's not so. There is a specific idea and there is a specific technique to build a transistor circuit and get a very good amplification. It is not a magical thing. Okay, have you got it? Have you got these ideas?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So specifically, we will then three classes of biasing circuit that we have to optimize the biasing circuit with respect to stability. Okay, and also we have to design the circuit in such a way that Q point becomes in the middle of the active region. There are three circuits, which is not very complicated. You can very easily understand and design the transistor circuit and get a good amplifier, transistor amplifier. We will discuss this thing, but these are the concept behind a transistor, bare transistor, to become a amplifier circuit. It is not a magical thing that you have to construct a biasing circuit, then you have to consider some other design considerations, then you will get a amplifier circuit. Hope that you have understood this one. Today it is not possible to discuss more because it is already we have what is the time now? There are three biasing circuits are there. We will discuss this thing. Perhaps you have learned in other classes. Lateral students have perhaps learned in the other classes. Have you got this one? Is there any question?
PPT in the group.
বলো।
স্যার বলছি যে এই পিপিটিটা যেটা আপনি দেখালেন সেটা আপনি কি গ্রুপে পাঠাতে পারেন স্যার? আমরা তাহলে এটাতে একবারে
হ্যাঁ, সে তো পাঠাতে পারবো। ঠিক আছে, আমার এই পিপিটিটা অনেকটা বড়, ঠিক আছে, অনেকগুলো স্লাইড আছে, 100টার উপরে স্লাইড আছে। তো ওইভাবে আমি হয়তো
হ্যাঁ স্যার ওই স্যার পুরো স্লাইডটা স্যার আপনি পাঠিয়ে দেবেন। হ্যাঁ পুরো স্লাইড পাঠিয়ে দেবেন স্যার। তারপর থেকে এগুলো মানে পড়িয়েছেন সেগুলো আমরা দেখে নিয়ে আমরা লিখে নেবো ওটা থেকে।
না অনেকটাই বড় আছে। আমি প্রত্যেক দিনের ওই
হ্যাঁ স্যার তাও মানে স্যার বেশি বড় হবে না, ওই 40-50 পেজের হবে। আর কত?
না 100-র উপরে আছে।
আচ্ছা স্যার কোনো ব্যাপার নেই, পাঠিয়ে দিবেন স্যার, কোনো অসুবিধা নেই। এটা
শোনো আমি তোমাদেরকে ক্লাস পরে আমি স্ক্রিনশট নিয়ে পাঠাতে পারি। তোমরা টাইম বিং তোমাদের যদি হয় তোমরাও স্ক্রিনশট নিতে পারো বা লিখে নিতে পারো যে পয়েন্টস গুলো আছে, ঠিক আছে, কারণ তোমরা তো স্ক্রিনে দেখতে পাচ্ছ, ওটা দেখতে পাচ্ছ তো, অসুবিধা হচ্ছে না তো?
না দেখতে অসুবিধা হবে না, বাট স্যার এটা পাঠিয়ে দিলে একটু
আগের দিনেরটা আমি পাঠিয়ে দিয়েছিলাম তোমাদের সিআর এর কাছে, ও নিশ্চয়ই শেয়ার করে দিয়েছে, ঠিক আছে। এই আজকেরটাও আমি তোমাদের স্ক্রিনশট করে আমি পাঠিয়ে দেবো, এই সিআর এর কাছে পাঠিয়ে দেবো, ঠিক আছে। সৌভিক আছে তোমাদের সিআর।
স্যার বললে একটু সুবিধা হতে পারো।
হ্যাঁ বলো, তোমার কথা কেটে কেটে যাচ্ছে।
বলছি স্যার পিপিটিটা পাঠিয়ে দিলে আর একটু সুবিধা হতো, পিপিটিটা স্যার পাঠিয়ে দিলে সুবিধা হতো।
আমি তো বলছি প্রত্যেকদিন যে স্লাইড গুলো হবে ক্লাস